Time check, it's 5 minutes past 7 exactly, and you're tuned into Joy 99.7 FM. I am Kofi Hayford, and you're welcome. This is Personality Profile. It's that time of the week again, that time of the evening again on a Thursday where we come to you with Personality Profile. We spend time with some of the amazing people that we admire, who have interesting stories, inspiring stories that we try to get close to on this particular show. And so you're welcome. From now till 8 p.m., you're going to be stuck with me and my guest. Now, his story is one that inspires a lot. A gentleman who set out from his homeland on a journey to finding success, on a journey to discovering what he's meant to be and what he was made for. You really know him as one of the youngest CEOs, trust me. Now, he was unperturbed by life's obstacles. He tried out different ventures until finally time showed him what he was made out for. He's related to time. If I say that, maybe you're guessing exactly who this is. But, ladies and gentlemen, he's the CEO of Caveman Watches, but also starting off with Timepiece GH. His name is Anthony Dzamefe.
Oh, you got the name well.
I did because of Aflao.
Okay. People usually butcher my surname.
They say, oh, Dzamefe.
Well, Dzamefe. But yeah, you got it right.
Oh, Charlie, you're welcome.
Thank you, bro. How are you doing?
I'm well. How are you doing?
Not bad. You're managing.
Yeah, anytime I see you on TV or social media, there's one song that always rings in mind. I don't know if you're a Money fan or a Sack fan.
Both.
Yeah. Okay. So one song that always rings in my mind when I see you is Time No Day, looking at me like as if you know that song, right?
Yeah.
And I know it's just because you are maybe synonymous with time, if that's anything to say. Yeah, but you're welcome. Thank you so much for honoring our invitation. I mean, you're one of the youngest CEOs in Ghana and maybe around the world. How does that make you feel? Having a lot of young folks looking up to you.
It just makes me realize that I have a long way to go. I mean, I have a long way to go. It's been a very short journey so far. So I'm somebody who doesn't get too impressed with, things that happen in a short while. I think longevity is the right factor to use to determine if I'm doing well or not.
Right.
So it's kind of too early to conclude that I'm doing well. So I do have a long way to go.
But don't you think you've been doing well? I mean, for example, I looked at your CV and you have been awarded or recognized nothing less than 8 times, I think, when it comes to, youth categories in award schemes.
Yeah, in a short while, that's a lot. Honestly, we've done a lot in a short time. So yes, I am doing well. The beginning of it, I've started well. Let me put it that way.
Okay, I think I agree with you.
Yeah, I've started well. Because like I mentioned, we've seen a lot of great things happen and don't last for too long. So if I'm able to pass that test of time, then I can confidently say that I've done well. But now the beginning is good. God has been great. We're still pushing.
Right. We really wish you the best. Having been nominated and being awarded, recognized close to a dozen times is such a great feat for a start.
Yes, I think so.
And so we wish you the very best.
Thank you.
But talking about longevity and talking about how it all started and how it's been starting for you, let's rewind. Let's go back to Ho. I'm sure that is where everything started.
Yeah.
How was your childhood? How did you grow up?
I grew up as the third of 4 guys.
Boys, all boys?
All boys, yes. I was the third. And grew up in, whole housing, then moved to whole barracks. It was quite a weird home. Parents were quite strict.
Weird home?
When I say weird, is how do I put it? It's like growing up together with your brothers, but you're in the same house, but it's kind of like a quiet house, right? unlike how you find some people and their brothers just sitting down to talk and chat about things.
Right.
You could come to my house and then the house is quiet. Like everybody's inside their rooms, you know.
Was it something that, as a result of how your parents treated you or something?
No, I think, we moved from different homes along the line in Ho.
Mm-hmm.
There was one place that we lived that myself and all my brothers, we shared the same room.
Okay.
Right? So then, we interacted with each other a lot. But when we moved from that house and went to a bigger house that everybody had their own rooms, then we all kind of like just vanished into our rooms, probably
I see that.
enjoying that personal space for the first time. And we probably just grew up into that.
And how old were you around this time when you started, enjoying your space?
Probably
in your own?
12, 13. Yeah. So it was quite a quiet house, strict parents. All I did was play basketball with my friends. I was the type who was never allowed to go out partying or doing anything. So
not even for birthday parties?
No. There was no such thing.
Okay, so no, wait, let me get it. Which of them was really strict? Is it your mom or your dad or both?
Both. But the weird thing is that my dad used to travel around a lot.
Okay.
So my mom did all the 24-hour, raising of the kids. My dad would travel and come back and leave and come back and leave. So it was like we grew up for our mom the most, So yeah, my dad, funny. So if we do something wrong, right, he was the kind of person who wouldn't come straight at you, but then he'll go to our mom. Dad, how are you raising the children? How are you raising the children?
Mama has to take all the blame.
It was not cool, but it was like that. So I grew up in Ho, just played basketball. I was in Mauli school. I was in Mauli Primary, then Mauli GSS. And then I moved to St. Paul's, so Spaco, in the Volta region.
Let's slow it down. So you are at Mauli Primary
and then GSS.
Okay. Can you share with us some of the the fondest memories while you were in basic school?
While I was in basic school, I was always falling in trouble. I was one of those stubborn students. So
even in primary?
Yeah, even in primary. Primary, well, not in primary, GSS.
Okay, in GSS.
It started from GSS. I think it was there all along, but GSS was when the stubbornness was poking its ugly head the most. Always doing some punishments, being lashed by teachers here and there. I was that student who would always be very opinionated, challenge a teacher, challenge this headmaster, all these things. So it was quite chaotic.
Have you met any of your former teachers or headmaster? I mean, I'm sure they must feel proud.
I'm sure they do. I don't remember coming across any one of them recently, but I'm sure they do.
I see. So from Mauli JHS, then you went to St. Paul's?
Yeah.
I see.
So I went to St. Paul's.
What did you study?
I studied science in St. Paul's. I was doing chemistry, biology, physics, elective maths.
Pure science student.
Truth be told, I didn't know how I ended up reading science. When I was in GSS, I used to draw a lot. I was very good with drawing. But some way, somehow, I think these teachers just managed to convince my parents that they thought I was a very smart student. And you see this problem that we have in Africa. We think smart people should do science.
Science, right.
We think the ones that are not smart are the ones who should do the other things, That's where we started shooting ourselves in the feet as Africans.
Right.
So somehow I found myself reading science in secondary school. It was, at the final year that I started having a change in mind.
Wow.
And I wanted to change the science and read business.
In your final year?
Yeah, final year. So I actually wrote my science exams. So the thing about science for me was that I was doing well in physics, elective maths, biology especially, but then I always failed in chemistry. I never liked it. It wasn't practical enough for me. Teaching me about all these chemical equations and all these atoms and things that I haven't seen before. So using a lot of imagination to just study chemistry. But with physics, I could see whatever we were experimenting, and it was very intriguing. So I was very, very much in love with physics and mathematics and biology. But chemistry, I always failed terribly. Failed terribly. Yeah.
So did you finally change the subject before you graduated from St. Paul's?
Well, I wanted to, but they wouldn't allow me to change it because it was too late. So I had to write the science exams. And after that, take remedial classes.
For business?
For business, yes. Even that, they didn't want to allow me. They were saying that I can't use couple of months to capture the entire business course.
Right, for 3 years.
For 3 years, and just do it in a couple of months. But I was able to do it. I did not excel in the A's, but just average managed to pass through. Yeah, and then I went to UPS.
I am thinking and asking myself, why didn't you bully your way through? Because I hear you were such a hard guy. So maybe when your teacher said, okay, we're not going to allow you, then you could have said, no, I have to do what I have. Share with us one of those, maybe a couple of them, those hard moments, because I am reliably informed that you were such a hard guy.
When I was in St. Paul's, right, people would have thought that there was something wrong with me. So it was like I had this strong sense of freedom, if that's what I should call it. So let me give an example. So the headmaster comes to the assembly and then calls out 4 students that were going to be dismissed that very morning. So he's in such a rage, he's mad. These 4 students had done something, especially one of the crucial offenses in my school was if you're being found walking around the campus when it was time for lectures, right? It was such a huge offense. So I think it was probably one of the offenses that these guys committed. So they were coming to dismiss 4 students. So they bring them out in the assembly, and then, the headmaster sounds a very strict warning and then sacks these 4 students, right? The whole campus is like, quiet, everyone is scared. And then he issues a strict warning. If any student is ever found walking outside again during class period, you're going to be dismissed immediately. So there's this terror in the whole campus, and then we go for lectures. Let's say one teacher fails to show up, right? So we are just in the classroom. The teacher is not coming. And I feel like going to my dormitory to sleep. I take my bag, I walk out of the classroom, and all the students are like, is this guy okay?
Is he possessed?
Yeah, they just issued a very strict warning that if you are found outside the classroom, you will be sacked. I don't think I even think about it. I just take my bag and I walk out. While I'm walking out to the dormitory to sleep, I encounter some teachers on the way, right? And they'll probably also look at me like, nah, it can't be real. Maybe someone may have sent him. Like, they can't believe that somebody would actually be out right after this warning. Like, that was just me. I'll just walk confidently, pass by any teacher, go and sleep.
But do you think maybe you took this straight from either your mom or your dad? Where did you gather that courage from?
I have no idea where I got it from. I don't know if it was confidence, it was stupidity. I don't know what it was. But
were you always like that, or it was only in senior high school?
I had always been falling in trouble my whole life.
Okay.
From primary. Right? I was always doing something wrong with, getting in trouble with authorities. So that was just, in secondary school, it was bad. It was so bad that if they bring a list to the headmaster of people to be punished, and my name was not on the list, he returns the list, that they should go and cross-check the list before they bring it back. That's how bad it was.
My goodness.
Yeah, they had to go and check the list before they bring it back. And it was a Catholic school.
Wow.
So, and I would always dodge the chapel period. I never went for the chapel. So bad that the Catholic priest actually put a seat beside himself for me on the altar. So anytime I skipped chapel, like, everybody could see my seat empty, right? So I was the only student who was not a mass server, but sat beside the priest, just so everybody could see when I was there or not. Wow. It was just chaotic.
Wow.
Yeah,
wow.
not very typical for a science student, in quotes.
Right, because, they exude a certain posture.
Yes. I was
decent,
like, there was a huge polar difference.
Wow, wow. But were you involved in any extracurricular activities like, sports, entertainment?
Yeah. So I used to play basketball and I used to dance, right?
Oh, you're a dancer.
So those days, entertainment. Charlie would go on stage and do our thing. Was dancing and doing all these things. Still not like a science student, right? Because they thought the science students were the sharks and the quiet, the geeks and all that. But I was just the wild opposite.
Wow, interesting. So at what point did your dreams begin to shape up? Because at this time, you had completed school and you had done the remedials.
Yeah.
And business, you did business, for the remedials.
Yes, I did business for remedials.
So at what point did your dreams begin to shape up properly? You realized that, okay, this is probably, what I am going to be doing. This path, chart this path, do this and do that and do that. At what point?
It was when I was about completing uni.
Okay,
like my final
went to
year.
UPSA.
So I went to UPSA. Okay, so this is what happened. After secondary school, I went to UPSA where I did a diploma. After my diploma, I went to the north where I did my national service and taught in Bolgatanga. And then I came back to UPS to now do my degree.
Okay, so you went to do your national service in Bolgatanga.
Yeah.
Which school exactly?
It was called Aninga Zanga.
Aninga Zanga.
Yeah.
In Bolgatanga.
Yes, I like the rhyme, eh? It was Aninga
Zanga in Bolgatanga.
That's where I did my national service, and then I came back to further my degree.
Okay, but what exactly did you teach at?
I was teaching mathematics and ICT, and I think English.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So then you came back to UPSA to do your degree.
Yeah.
For 2 years, I guess.
For 3 years.
For 3 years.
Yes.
Okay.
So I finished my degree in 2015. But when I came back from the north, it was in 2012 when my dad passed.
Oh, so sorry.
My dad passed in 2012 and I decided to get a job. The reason was that even though I was still in school, when my dad passed, I would look at my mom and I had so much pity, like how is she going to look after all four of us alone or her own? So at that point I figured that if I can't help my mom, the least I could do was not take money from her.
Right. You don't want to be a burden on
I don't want to be a burden, so I just told myself that, I want to move to Accra, like get a place to rent, get a job and like start my life.
So that's how the migration happened.
That's how the migration happened.
Just one day off and then you were like, wow.
But apart from that, a lot of other reasons had led to that point. But my dad's death was like that last straw for me. I'm like, I had to move.
What are some of those reasons?
Well, so growing up, I would look at two elderly people, maybe 40 years, and then one successful and one not successful. I would always ask myself, okay, these guys had the same time. What was the difference? Why were some people successful and some were not?
Right.
I just figured that maybe some of them may have wasted time. I don't know what the reasons were, but I kind of made a vow to myself that I was not going to be 30 years and broke.
Wow. I want you to say that again.
Yeah, I vowed to myself that I wasn't going to be 30 and broke.
Wow.
Not entirely rich, but just financially stable.
Okay.
By 30, yeah. That was the target I had for myself when I was probably 21 or 20. So I started thinking towards that. And there was one thing I saw about my dad that I did not like very much was that my dad happened to be quite a cheerful person when he had money. But when he didn't have money, it was like the home became some kind of prison, right? So you know that kind of house when your dad is coming, you hear the gate closed and everybody runs into their room.
I know, right?
That kind of heavy tension in the home, and the tension used to suffocate me, So when I even go to school and then we are on vacation, when I see people happily packing their bags and going home, like I did not want to go home. The tension at home was too much.
Too much.
My dad was not a person that I could talk to. He was like, this wild man. When he's coming, you have to, get off his path. So I told myself that, well, if this man has money and then he's happy, he doesn't have money, he's like a monster, and then his children have to suffer that. Maybe the apple may not fall far from the tree, right?
Right.
So let me make sure that I don't do the same thing to my children.
Oh.
I wouldn't be broke and have to make my children suffer for it.
Right.
So all those things led to me having this dream to make sure that I was financially stable by 30. Another thing was like, funny reason, my dad happens to sweat a lot, right? I watch this man. If he picks one table from one corner of the room to the other corner of the room, he's drenched in sweat.
Wow.
And I happen to be like that.
Okay.
If I go up the staircase, I'll be sweating mad. And it was just like that with us. I'm like, Charlie, the way I sweat a lot, I can't be poor. Like,
you have to be rich.
I have to be rich. I have to do air conditioning inside. If not, I go bread.
Right.
But that was just like on the funny side of it. But it was actually a reason, So you have to know how your body is and Charlie. So all those were the things that led to it.
So around this time, how old were you?
When I moved?
Yes.
I moved to Accra when I was around 2012.
Okay.
I was probably 22.
Okay.
21, 22. Sorry. Yeah, so it was quite very early in my life.
Right, but what were your mom's? Did she have any concerns when you were moving?
Yeah.
Your dad is not around, and you have two elder brothers, but you have decided to move from home, come to Accra, get a life.
Yeah.
How did she feel about it?
I was surprised when I was telling her about it. She usually was a strict person who wouldn't have allowed it.
Right.
But I told her that I wanted to start my life early. That's how I put it. I don't want to waste time. I want to start my life early. So she was like, where am I going? Do I have a place in Accra? Who do I know in Accra? So we have these family friends in Accra, Mr. David. So I told my mom that I'll patch with Mr. David for some time. Then I'll find a place to rent. So thankfully, Mr. David allowed me to come stay with them.
Oh, wow, nice.
I stayed with Mr. David for some time while I was... I got a job to raise some money and then looking for a place to rent. When I got a place to rent, my mom helped me with the rent, and that room. It was a room that when you open both arms, you can touch both walls.
Oh!
Like literally. That's how I measured my carpets.
Oh,
right?
Okay.
So I can literally touch both walls of the room. It was a
small room.
Very small room. It was in Medina. And the room shared a wall with the public washroom of the compound, right?
You're joking.
So when people come into the washroom, I could hear everything.
The sound is in HD.
I could hear it clear, And it was so small. Like, I moved to Accra with this backpack that I had a bed in. If I can fit a bed, a mattress in a backpack, right? So it's more of like a blanket, sort of a camping bed. You can roll it and put it in the backpack.
Yeah.
So you put that on the floor and then when you wake up, you are at the door.
Yeah.
It was interesting.
That's a very interesting beginning to life, if I should put it. Wow, that's really interesting.
I just wanted a place to lay my head and get a job in Accra, so that's how it happened.
Okay, so let's fast forward. You successfully landed in Accra. You went to pitch with Mr. David.
Mr. David, yes.
And you got a job.
Yeah.
What was your first job?
I was working for a hotel in the marketing department.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked there for some time. I had a terrible moment there. This same behavior of mine, falling in trouble my whole life, followed me to this hotel. I was always in trouble in the hotel.
Wow.
I was always in trouble.
Share with us some of those crazy moments at the hotel.
Yeah, so the thing about me is that I think if a rule doesn't make sense to me, it was likely I was going to break it, right?
So more like a rebel?
More like that. For example, okay, so let's say that you come to work and you have a break time from 12 to 1, okay?
Right.
And then you want to just go across the road to use the ATM to take some money out. That's probably the money you use for transport home. Then there's a rule that even during break period, nobody should leave the premises. And I'm like, wait, it's break. I can do what I want to do in my break time, right?
Right, of course. I can go home and come back.
I can go home and come
provided
back.
It's not after 1.
Yeah. So I would leave and go out. When I come out, like, hey, Anthony, they are looking for you. You are in trouble. Yeah. Oh, my God. Charlie, it was just happening. And funny thing, when I was working in the hotel, I was doing music at the time. I was in the studios rapping and doing all that, trying to, I was trying my hands at a lot of things. Funny thing was that, let's say I have a TV interview, okay? That time, John Germain would interview me on his show. I have a TV interview, but I have to be at work. So during my break time, I change my clothes, put my attire for my interview into my bag and rush for the interview. And the funny thing, it is a live interview, right? So I was at work just 30 minutes ago.
Wow.
And then after 30 minutes, I'm on live TV and my boss is watching the, is that not Anthony? Anthony was here 30 minutes ago. Is that not Anthony? And I'm on Metro TV somewhere.
Wow.
So, you come back and then you are in trouble and...
Wait. So, hold on. Wait, so the music thing wasn't, because, for example, I said I was rapping back in SS.
Yeah, we all tried it at a point, right?
No, but I mean, for you to have made it onto a TV station, and have interviews, you were really serious with it?
I was doing music. I had some songs with Gemini. Gemini was my very good friend.
Gemini, the rapper? Whoa.
Gemini,
so you
myself.
were a rapper? You remember your first?
I was doing a lot of dance hall music, which is not something you would imagine when you look at me. Yeah. But I was doing that. We just tried our hands at a lot of things,
Wow.
But yeah.
Wow. So let me come back to the hotel. So what finally, break the camel's back that led to your exit from the hotel?
I was moved to the airport. Okay, this is how it happened. So I realized that, when I was going to the hotel, I had a lot of confidence in myself that I was a very multi-talented guy. I could do a lot of things. But then getting them, I felt like my creativity was suppressed. Because let's say we are in a meeting and then I bring an idea up and then everybody would just laugh,
Yeah.
As if they just heard the most stupid thing ever.
Right.
So I started holding back on my ideas because they would always ridicule when I brought ideas up. So I started thinking that, wait, if all these people laugh at my ideas all the time, maybe I was not as smart as I thought I was. And that was a very dangerous thing because I legitimately started believing that I was not as smart as I thought. So I called back into my shell at meetings. I never spoke. I became very quiet. People be like, Anthony, are you okay? It's like I just wanted to get out of everybody's way. I never spoke. And at that time, I was beginning to question whether I was really ready to work or whether I was just there because my dad had passed and I had to do something. I didn't feel like I was ready to work, There were times that I would just leave the office, go into the washroom and cry my eyes and clean my eyes and come back to sit down. It was just very hard for me, Nothing was in order for me, So I couldn't blame my employers very much because I don't think I had my stuff together mentally, emotionally, and all that. So I was struggling at the hotel. Then they strategically moved me from the office to the airport. And the way they did it was very interesting. So one day, the general manager calls me and says that, Anthony, I see that you're a very friendly person. We have a lounge at the airport. When guests arrive, we want you to be the one to start that lounge department where you receive the guests, they get comfortable, and then the drivers will come and pick them to the hotel.
Right.
But you are a friendly guy, people love you, so we want you to be the one to start that department. My office was a very hostile place for me. So anything that was going to take me out of the office, I didn't think twice about it.
Wow.
I said, yeah, boss, I'll take it. Because at my office, it was very bad.
But were you confident? Because from what I'm gathering, people laughing at you, teasing you and just throwing all your ideas into the bin or tossing them into the bin when you brought them at meetings. I mean, didn't it affect your confidence as a man?
It did affect my belief that I was a creative person.
Okay.
So any job that was going to take me out of the office, I didn't think creativity was going to be required so much to just man the lounge, right?
Right.
Because the office was very hard for me, like, for example, I could be walking into the office and hear people talking, laughing, and giggling. The moment I enter the office, then they are all quiet. You know how you would feel.
Yeah, like they've been talking about you.
Yeah, and then when you leave, you see somebody peep behind you, and then the door closes again, and then you start hearing voices. It's like, it was just very heavy for me, So when I got the chance to leave the office and do something at the airport, I just took it. I went back to the office and my boss asked me, what did the general manager say? And I told her. She said, would you go? And I said, yes, I would go. Following morning, I hadn't even left the office yet. My replacement was standing beside me.
Oh, you don't say.
My replacement was standing right beside me. I was like, in my mind, I was like, oh, wow, that was quick.
But it was the same company?
Same company.
Wow.
So this is what happened. My boss assigned the assistant manager, William, to take me to the airport to settle in at the airport, at the lounge, right? I get to the airport with William, and William is now asking the airport authorities how they can find a place for me to put a chair and a table anywhere around the airport. And then the authorities mentioned some amount that this was how much it would cost for them to put a table and a chair anywhere for me. And William, I was like, what's happening here? So we came out of the office and William said, hey, Anthony, the airport says that we have to pay this amount of money before you can sit in. What do you mean sit anywhere? GM said there was a lounge here. That's what GM told me, that we have a lounge. They just wanted me. They said, oh, the lounge there, we are now thinking about it. Oh.
Wow.
So this money the airport people want us to pay, the hotel will not pay this amount. And your place in the office too, someone has taken it already.
Wow.
I'm like, wait, so what are you telling me? What should I do? Long story short, William says that, well, just come and start working at the airport. We'll figure something out for you. Working where? As what? How? Where?
Wow.
So I go to the hotel. Wow. They give me the list, the manifest, the list of guests that they are expecting, and then they add a placard. So you go to the airport, you go to the arrival hall, and when you hear the flight land, you stand and hold a placard above your head.
I know that.
You know that job,
yeah,
right?
I do.
So that's what I was doing. And I was there for a year.
Hey. When you thought you were going to be in the lounge.
Yes, I'm ACB inside.
Okay, so right after that, after doing that for a year, what next did you get into?
So I was doing that for a year. That was where I resigned.
Okay.
I was there for 1 year, and then, I was just thinking, like, for some strange reason, okay, one day I was going to work and I bought a book called Business Secrets from the Bible. Out of curiosity, I just bought the book. So while I sat at the airport waiting for the flights to arrive, and I was just flipping through this book and reading, I started having this urge to, it was like I felt the confidence that I had lost in myself just coming back somehow.
By reading the book?
Yeah, just by reading the book. I was getting ideas. I was writing things down on the pages. Then for one brief moment, I told myself, you know what? My whole life I had failed in the corporate setting. From school, primary, JSS, anywhere there were rigid structures, I failed.
Right.
Up to the hotel. Then I started having different thoughts that no, maybe I am not the problem. Maybe I was trying to fit into environments that were not meant for me.
For you, right.
So for the last time, I'm going to revive my confidence in myself, and I'll give life a try, but at my own terms. So I was going to resign and try my own thing. And if I fail at that, then I know I'm terrible.
Then you know you're a failure.
Then I know I'm a failure. So I'll try one last time, but on my own terms. Like all out. If I fail, let me fail big. Then I'll give up.
I see. So after that one, then you got into the watch business.
Yeah. So after, when I resigned, I didn't have a job. I was trying to sell things. I'll come to Circle and buy suits to go and sell to people to make some money. Yeah.
Anthony Dzamefe. Selling suits bought from Circle.
Yeah, so I go to Circle and buy suits. I'll sit in the trotro with my last money. So somebody tells me, oh, I heard you sell suits. I'm like, yeah. Then he said, I want one. How much is it? When they mention the amount, look, I don't even have the resources or time to go and measure the person. I tell him to send me a picture. So I look at him in the picture and I gauge his size with my eyes.
This one is chest 42, waist 40.
I gauge his size, right? With my last money, like 50 cities, 60 cities, I was going to buy suits and keep praying that I should fit this guy. If not, he will leave it and my money will be gone. I did that for some time, selling suits, buying. I tried to do business with some musicians. So these guys that I saw walking around playing guitar and singing, I called them like, hey, let's do some business. This is what I was going to do. I go on Facebook and find people's birthdays. When I see your birthday coming, I go into your page and I find your friends. And I contact your friends and tell them that I have a business, I have a birthday gift idea, which was that we're going to use your name or whatever name that your friends knew for your nickname. I'll give it to my boys, they compose some music, and then we'll just give you like a mop treatment. When you are at work, we'll pop up on you with the guitar and cameras and surprise you.
Amazing.
Then I was doing this for these guys, right? But it didn't last very, very much because they were. That's not what they wanted to do. They wanted to do music where they would be like famous and
superstars.
Kind of. But I wanted to do business with them.
Right.
So it didn't really last long. I sold suits. Didn't last long. One day I walked into a shop to buy a wristwatch for the first time in my life. And then I couldn't afford the watch. I had 50 cedis on me. The watch was 150 cedis at the time in 2015.
I want you to pause on this. So now we're getting into how you got into watch. Yeah. All right, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, we are listening to a very, very interesting story of a gentleman that we hold in high esteem, Anthony Dzamefe. He's CEO of Caveman Watches and also the founder of Timepiece GH. I mean, for the past 40 minutes or so, we have been hearing his story, how it all started for him. There is a message on my WhatsApp console. I mean, you can send yours in as well, 055-1111-997. This one is from Arnold, and he says he's called Particles. He sings, he raps as well. Very good guy. We are proud of him from all Mauli GSS and Spaku Boy.
Yeah.
You know Particles?
No, he's saying I was called.
Oh yeah,
Particles.
I mean you know Arnold.
I know Arnold.
Or Spaku Boy.
Mauli.
Jesus.
Yeah, I know Arnold. Oh yeah, he was a classmate in Mauli.
Oh, I see. Let's see the next message. This one says, Kofi, I am happy you have Tony in the studios. Everything he said about his life, school life, is true. I don't know. I don't know how come we both found ourselves in both Spaco and the UPS. Okay, so Spaco is actually St. Paul's, I guess.
St. Paul's, yes.
Okay. Tony, I don't envy you at all. I've watched your determination and struggles all over the years. Conqueror Tony.
Yeah.
All conquerors are proud of you. We wish you well. That's from Antioch.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're going to go for a very short commercial break. But before that, let me ask you. I mean, I always want to find out this. So you used to rap.
Yeah.
But who was your favorite artist?
You mean in Ghana or globally?
It could be anywhere. Okay, let's do Ghana first.
No, I don't have a favorite in Ghana. I like a lot
even back then? I mean, I'm saying back then.
Yeah, what I was doing was not like typically rap. It was more of what Shaggy was doing.
Okay.
So it was not rap particularly, yeah.
But what kind of music did you used to listen to? Not what you did, but what you used to listen to.
Back then, I listened to dancehall music a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you have a favorite dancehall song?
Of all times, now I have a lot of favorite dancehall songs. I listen to Stonebwoy a lot.
Back then?
Back then, I listened to Shaggy.
Okay.
I listened to Vibes Cartel.
Did you have favorites from them? For example, Shaggy.
Yeah.
You did?
Church Heathen.
Church Heathen.
Yeah.
We'll try to play that song.
Yeah, I love Church Heathen.
I think I have an idea how it starts.
Yeah.
Okay, and then from Vibes Cartel?
Almost all his songs.
Almost all his songs.
Yeah. But when I was in secondary school, I used to speak Patois a lot.
Oh.
Yeah, so people would always bring these Patois dictionaries and things to me. But
Okay, fine. So let's get into the watch business. How did it all start? Where? When? I mean, you've told us up to... Okay, so now I think I know when. I mean, where? You know, the watch shop where you couldn't afford a 150 Ghana cedis watch. What happened after?
So I left and then I went on the internet and saw somebody selling a watch for 50 cedis on one of those websites, kemu.com or something. I called this guy over and I buy the watch. 50 cedis watch. I put the watch on my wrist and took a picture. I posted a picture on my WhatsApp DP. That time there was no status. I put it on my DP and then somebody saw it and showed interest. Like, oh, nice watch. Are you selling it? And I said, yeah. Then the guy came and bought the watch. I made some profit. And that was just like the light bulb moment for me. I was like, wait, I think I can actually make business out of this. You know, I felt like I had just found something. Then I started doing my research to see if the people who were selling watches and all that. But so that was it. So I called a supplier to come back, and I bought 2 of the watches with the profit and everything that I had made. Then I sold the 2, and I bought 3. I sold 3, and I bought 4. That's how I started selling watches.
So it means you were making good money.
It was good enough, better than what I was earning at the hotel. I was earning 500 cedis in the hotel.
Really?
And that, I mean, before the month ends, you had even borrowed money from other people to survive. So I had no savings, negative balance every month, right? So making some profit from this watch was like, wait, I think I should make a business out of this. So I started selling watches. I sold watches for about 3 years. People's offices, car parks, in traffic. I was hawking watches and making money out of that. That's how I was surviving. But then I realized that there was an opportunity there. I call it... I realized that all the other people who were selling watches were selling other things. People were selling watches and shoes and bags and perfume. Belts, right? But there was nobody who was doing just watches. So I call it finding a gap in the market and building the market in the gap. Okay.
Finding a gap in the market.
And build a market in the gap. Right. So there was nobody doing just that. And I decided to do just that. So I would go and sell a watch to somebody if they asked for perfumes. Even though I was desperate for the money, I knew where to get the perfume and sell. I refused to sell it. I'll give the number of somebody who sells perfumes. So I stuck to just watches so that I can build that industry of the time-telling industry. Ghana didn't have it. Everybody was selling watches and other things. There was no horology industry in Ghana. So this is what I stuck to do. Apart from just watches, I would sell hourglasses, wall clocks, Da Vinci clocks, sundials, compasses, anything that had to do with time telling.
Right.
So I wanted to become known in Ghana as the guy who
deals
in watches and nothing else.
Wow.
So I did that for some time. Then I realized that I like to add value and keep growing. I don't like to be stagnant at one place for long. So selling watches didn't become enough. I realized that other people had faulty watches. They didn't want to buy a new watch. They just want to fix their watches. So I approached the repairers at the roadside to learn watch repairs, so I can start repairing watches too. I did that for some time. Then I realized there was another segment of people who had good watches but faulty leather straps.
Right.
So I went to Cantamanto, apprenticed for one shoemaker to learn leather craft, so I can learn how to make leather straps. So it was a bit of everything coming together. I can fix watches, I can make watch leather straps. I was selling watches for quite some years, and I knew watches inside out. So everything about the watch industry was coming to me. I was getting enough knowledge and experience in that field. I could see somebody's watch from a mile away and tell you what watch you're wearing, what it's made out of. I became obsessed with watches. I became obsessed with it so bad.
So that's how come you found Timepiece GH?
Yeah, so the wristwatch selling and repair business was called Timepiece GH.
Okay, and at what point did you start Caveman? Making
2018,
your own watches.
Yeah, so that's just me. I mean, when I'm doing something well, I want to push for the next level.
So in which year?
2018.
2018.
Yes, I started selling watches generally in 2015.
Okay.
So 3 years after doing that, I was like, I knew so much about watches. The obsession was really wild. Then I was thinking, how come all these watches that I'm selling are imported brands? So I started looking out for African watch brands and couldn't find any. It was really wild to me, like the whole of Africa. Like, how come? Because these people who taught me watch repairs, they're like veteran watch repairers. They know watches inside out. How come no one had attempted to make one?
Right.
And my curiosity that led me into trouble my whole life came to play here. That curiosity led me to, want to find out why. Was it so difficult? So I started taking faulty watches, take their components out to form a new watch. And it was working. I'm like, wait, why don't I just make a new watch and put my name on it?
Wait, so you're saying that you started picking components of other watches to make your own watch?
Yes.
How do you learn how to make watches?
Through the watch repairs that I was learning.
Wow.
So that's how I am. I used to get in trouble for damaging things, right? So I'm breaking watches apart and learning what's inside, reverse engineering. So I could finally take useless watch components and form one good movement. So that's when, at that stage, I said, you know what? Just like how I bought one watch and sold it and bought two and sold and bought three, let me just make one watch with my name on it.
So you did it?
Yeah, so that's where the Caveman idea came from.
Where is that watch?
Sold.
You sold it? Okay.
Yes.
Wow.
That's where the Caveman idea came from.
Wow.
And here we are today.
But weren't you scared going into entrepreneurship? Because, in Ghana, entrepreneurship is something else. Because now I'm even asking myself, well, yes, you had some money. You used it to make your first watch. But how did you come about, raising funds to start Caveman as a company?
Okay, you used a word that I like very much. You asked if I wasn't scared, right?
Right.
Let me take you back a little. The day I resigned from the airport or the hotel job, I did a lot of soul searching. Well, that's what I like to call it. One day I just went to the beach, I took a pen and paper, and I'm like, I've been suffering so much everywhere I work, chaos everywhere. Let me find out what is happening, why. So I took a whole day and started writing my attributes, the things that I know about myself. I was a risk taker, I was daring, I was curious, I was stubborn and all that. That was leading me in trouble. I wrote all of them down. Then I started to redefine them. That, the stubbornness, I now redefined it as resilience, all these things. When I finished, I said, no, let me now find a career that these attributes will be a positive in.
Whoa.
And I was like, wait, these things that I have written down, they all happen to coincidentally be attributes of a good entrepreneur.
Okay.
Right. So you're talking about wasn't I scared? See the example I gave you. When everybody was scared because the headmaster came to issue a warning, I walked out.
Okay.
You understand?
I do.
When I was in school, I would get punished for the same thing repeatedly. It was because I didn't give up. When I do something and I get punished, I'll do it again. All those attributes I was falling in trouble for, I now realized they were attributes of a successful entrepreneur.
Right.
Then I figured I had been doing the wrong thing. Let me now try entrepreneurship. So I wasn't scared of anything. I tell myself that all my life, falling in trouble, the hardship. Look, when my friends are sleeping comfortably, I'm uprooting tree stumps, I'm fetching firewood for the pantry. I was always doing punishments.
Right.
So I was telling myself that, look, this was all preparing me for the so-called difficulty they say entrepreneurship has.
Right.
So when I face challenges now, I laugh. I'm like, you don't know what I've been through.
You've been through a lot.
So I feel like my whole life had prepared me for this.
I see.
Every part of my life.
I'm going to ask you, what advice you would give to entrepreneurs. But there is always one thing that I've always wanted to find out. The name Caveman, I mean, how did it come about? What informed the name of Caveman?
Okay, so the intention is to build a brand that would incorporate the element of handcraft. like how the cavemen built everything with hand, which happened to be very durable things. Take something like the pyramids of Giza, for example, and up till now, archaeologists cannot figure out how those people with no technology built such a complex structure that was right in line with some coordinates of stars in the universe. And that time they had no telescopes and things to know the things we know now.
Right.
So there's a huge mystery about things like the pyramids. So I had this interest in how these people created things, and this happened to be very durable things till now. So I was going to build a brand that would incorporate the values of handcraft, durability, the ingenuity of how the cavemen created things. And the tagline for the brand is "Be Remembered." And the whole idea is that we, the beginners of the brand, will become the ones to be remembered as the ones who started it.
I see.
And there would be watches that, I like that whole grandfather watch idea. We could say that, oh, this watch was passed down to me by my grandfather's grandfather. Right. So the person who passed it down will be the caveman who will be remembered.
I see.
Yeah.
What's that one advice that you would give to young entrepreneurs, those who look up to you and those who do not look up to you? I mean, all round.
Yeah, it should be that we should be bold enough to accept our differences. I do not believe that a one-cap-fits-all situation happens with people. We all have different strengths, different attributes. So instead of trying to mold ourselves to be something else, how about we embrace who we really are and be bold enough to find careers that would accept our strengths, just like I did. So that's an advice I would want to give people. If you find yourself in an environment where you are suffering, you can't fit in, probably just take a step back and look at yourself, identify what your strengths are, and if there is no career already there to support what you're good at, you can create one yourself.
Create one yourself.
Yeah.
Very interesting. Before you go, I want to find out how and who made the decision to settle on Fred Amugi as the brand ambassador for Caveman. I mean, I know it was all over the news. It was on social media. He wanted to, have his face on a billboard.
Yeah.
Why did you settle on him?
I think it was just his call out to the public was a very genuine one. And coupled with that, he's a personality that has done great in the movie industry. He's a legend in that field. And we had a model of our watch called a Heritage watch. And I thought, oh, Heritage. This falls right in line with Amugi's legacy. So why not just work with him? So somebody called my attention to that lady called Na Ajele Sugar. I think that's her name on Facebook. So she tagged me in the video. Fred Amugi's video calling out to be used as an ambassador, and I just watched the video and I said, let's do it. So that's just how it started, and then he came to the office. We had discussions, and
I know you are a blessing, and you will continue to be a blessing unto people, and I say that because of your book. Okay. If you could take a few seconds to tell us about the inside job.
The inside job, right? So, me studying business in school.
Maybe you can show it to that camera and talk about it.
Me studying business in school and then starting business and realizing that there's quite some difference. What you learn in school is quite different from what happens on the grounds, And I happen to be blessed to have suffered every aspect of business very well. I didn't just pop out of somewhere with a lot of money. I started from ground up. So I have experienced all the difficulties in business. I have learned all the lessons, and I realized that some of the work or the most difficult parts are even more mental than people think. So this book had put together some of the experiences and things that people may not see coming before they become entrepreneurs.
Right.
So it's a book that would help especially new entrepreneurs, to be aware of what happens on the inside.
Right.
Yes.
And it's called The Inside Job.
The Inside Job.
I guess it's on sale.
It's on sale for 80 cities. You can find it on my website, anthonydzamefe.com. Soft copy, hard copy can be purchased through the website.
I see. I know you're not married, or you are?
I'm not married. I'm married to my job.
Married to your job?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Look, thank you very, very much. I mean, your final words, just in 10 seconds.
I would want to thank you for giving me the platform to share my story. It may inspire somebody, motivate somebody to also do great. Just to encourage the youth generally. We have social media. We can put our minds to anything, learn, succeed at it. Get a mentor to help you in your field to learn things and grow quicker. And then we should support each other most importantly.
Right.
That unity should be among entrepreneurs. We partner, push each other's brands. And Africa is capable of a lot of great things, and we can do it.
Thank you very much for coming, Anthony. It's been a pleasure having you.
For having me.
Hopefully we'll link up very soon.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have been listening to Personality Profile with me, Kofi Hayford, and I've been hanging out with Anthony Dzamefe, who is CEO of Caveman Watches and the founder of Timepiece.